What if the most dangerous hitter in baseball was suddenly no longer guaranteed his spot in the lineup? What if the player who single-handedly justified a $700 million contract, the player who made Los Angeles the most feared offense in all of baseball, was quietly being repositioned, his roster role reconsidered, his designated hitter spot suddenly up for discussion behind closed doors? That question would have seemed impossible 12 months ago. But today, according to sources close to the organization, that is exactly the conversation happening inside the Los Angeles Dodgers front office. The shocking truth behind Shohei Ohtani's roster situation has just been revealed, and what Dave Roberts is now urging the front office to do could change everything about how the Dodgers structure their 2026 lineup, and what it means for the most electrifying player the sport has ever seen. Stay with us, because this story is far bigger than it first appears. To understand why this development is so significant, you first have to understand what the Los Angeles Dodgers are trying to build in 2026. This is not a team rebuilding. This is not a franchise searching for direction. The Dodgers enter 2026 as the most resource-rich, most talent-loaded, most aggressively constructed roster in all of Major League Baseball. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Kyle Tucker, Edwin Diaz closing games. A rotation deeper than any in the National League. And at the center of it all, Shohei Ohtani, the $700 million man, the two-way unicorn, the player who rewrote what baseball believed was physically possible by dominating as both an elite starting pitcher and a cleanup hitter simultaneously across multiple full MLB seasons. In 2025, Ohtani was once again extraordinary. His offensive numbers were staggering, a slugging percentage that ranked among the top 3 in the entire league, home run totals that kept the baseball world buzzing deep into September, and a plate discipline that made him genuinely one of the most difficult at-bats any pitcher in baseball faced all season. So why, with all of that production, all of that star power, all of that undeniable value, is Dave Roberts now urging the front office to explore signing a new designated hitter? The answer is more complicated than a simple numbers conversation. And it reveals something important about where the Dodgers believe they need to go in order to win another World Series title. Let's be precise about what is actually being reported here, because the details matter enormously. According to information released by sources close to the organization, the Dodgers are not moving Ohtani off the roster entirely. This is not a trade situation. This is not a contract dispute. Shohei Ohtani will be a Dodger in 2026. That much is not in question. What is being discussed internally is a significant strategic shift in how Ohtani is deployed across the full 162-game season. The Dodgers coaching staff, led by Dave Roberts, has spent considerable time this offseason examining the physical demands placed on Ohtani throughout a complete two-way season. The data tells a complicated story. When Ohtani operates as a full-time designated hitter across every game of a long regular season, his pitch count on mound days increases in risk, his recovery windows compress, and the cumulative fatigue that builds through summer months creates vulnerability heading into October, exactly when the Dodgers need him at his absolute peak. An internal source revealed that conversations in the Dodgers coaching meetings have repeatedly returned to a single strategic question. Is it more valuable to have Ohtani in the lineup every single day as DH, or to manage his appearances more carefully, preserve his pitching effectiveness for the postseason, and supplement the DH role with a dedicated hitter who carries no two-way burden whatsoever? Dave Roberts, according to those familiar with the discussions, has been direct in his answer. He wants a dedicated DH option, someone who wakes up every day with one singular focus: hit the baseball. No pitching preparation, no mound day routines, no split attention between two completely different athletic disciplines. Just a pure hitter who can absorb the DH at-bats on Ohtani's rest days, protect the lineup's depth on days when Ohtani is preparing to pitch, and reduce the overall physical burden on the most valuable player in the organization. At first reaction, this news feels almost counterintuitive. Shohei Ohtani not starting at DH every single game feels like leaving your most powerful weapon sitting unused on the bench. It feels like a decision that could cost the Dodgers runs, cost them wins, cost them the very competitive edge that makes them the most feared team in baseball. But look deeper, and the logic becomes impossible to argue with. Consider what happened in 2025. The Dodgers navigated a brutal 162-game schedule while simultaneously managing one of the most complex roster constructions in modern baseball history. Injuries struck multiple key contributors. The pitching staff was pushed, and Ohtani himself showed moments, subtle but visible to those watching closely, where the accumulated fatigue of doing everything at the highest possible level across a full season began to show in his swing timing during late September. He still performed. He is Ohtani. Performing under fatigue is simply part of who he is. But the Dodgers are not chasing regular season dominance. They are chasing a World Series ring. And in that context, every marginal decision about player management, roster construction, and physical preservation becomes magnified enormously. Ohtani himself has acknowledged the physical complexity of his two-way role in the past. Speaking to reporters after a particularly demanding stretch of games last season, he admitted quietly, "There are days when the body needs more than one day to fully reset. I try not to show it, but it is there." That honesty from the player himself is precisely what makes Dave Roberts' request to the front office so understandable. He is not doubting Ohtani. He is protecting him and, by extension, protecting the Dodgers' championship window. So if the Dodgers are genuinely pursuing a dedicated designated hitter to complement Ohtani's deployment, the next obvious question becomes, who fits that profile? According to sources familiar with the front office discussions, the Dodgers are not targeting a marquee free agent name that would generate massive headlines. This is not a Giancarlo Stanton-type pursuit. This is not the Dodgers chasing another $100 million bat to stack alongside an already historic lineup. Instead, consistent with the organization's philosophy in recent seasons, they are targeting a specific type of player. An experienced right-handed or switch-hitting bat with strong on-base skills, proven ability to handle high-leverage at-bats in the middle of elite lineups, and the professional maturity to embrace a defined and limited role without ego complications. The ideal candidate for this role is someone who understands that on a roster featuring Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, and Tucker, individual statistics are secondary to situational contribution. Someone who can step into a lineup already generating elite offensive production and simply add another layer of pressure on opposing pitching staffs without disrupting the chemistry Roberts has built. An internal source close to the coaching staff described the target profile clearly. "We need someone who makes pitchers uncomfortable even before they throw the first pitch. Someone who works counts, creates traffic, and does not give away at-bats. We have enough power in this lineup already. We need a professional hitter who raises the floor." That description, notably, fits a specific type of veteran hitter, the kind of player whose peak years may be behind him statistically but whose game intelligence, pitch recognition, and situational awareness remain elite. Here is the part of this story that nobody is talking about, but everyone should be. This roster adjustment, if it unfolds exactly as Dave Roberts is reportedly urging, could actually be the best thing that ever happened to Shohei Ohtani's postseason legacy. The numbers tell one story about Ohtani's brilliance. The highlight reels tell another. But the single chapter missing from his career narrative, the one that would complete the argument for him being the greatest baseball player of his generation without any remaining doubt, is a World Series championship delivered at full physical capacity. His 2023 WBC performance with Team Japan was a masterpiece. His regular season statistics have been historically unprecedented. But postseason magic, sustained across a full October run, requires something that cannot be manufactured through pure talent alone. It requires a body that has been managed carefully enough to still be operating at peak levels when the calendar turns and every game carries elimination weight. By accepting a slightly reduced regular season role at DH, preserved more deliberately, deployed more strategically, Ohtani does not become less valuable to the Dodgers. He becomes more dangerous exactly when it matters most. Dave Roberts understands this. The front office understands this. And based on everything being reported from inside the organization, Ohtani himself understands this too. As one source close to the player shared, Shohei wants to win a championship above everything else. If managing his appearances helps this team win in October, he will embrace it completely. That is simply who he is. In the pursuit of 2026, every decision the Dodgers make carries championship weight. Signing Edwin Diaz to lock down the ninth inning. Adding Kyle Tucker to deepen an already historic lineup. And now, quietly, strategically, without the fanfare of a blockbuster announcement, restructuring how their greatest asset is deployed across a full season to maximize his impact when the lights burn brightest. This is not a shocking story about Ohtani losing his place. This is a story about a championship organization making the kind of careful, intelligent, long-term decisions that separate teams who win regular season titles from teams who win World Series rings. Dave Roberts has been here before. He knows what October demands. He knows what a full season costs physically. And he knows that protecting Shohei Ohtani is not a limitation on what the Dodgers can accomplish in 2026. It is the foundation of it.